Welcome to this edition of EMS Ding Dong. My name is Lee, and on today's show, we have got event professionals who are sharing productivity tools that they get the most value from for their events or for their business. Now, can I encourage you to use the comments below to share with us, A, your opinion on the tools that we are sharing, but also B, what tools you get the most benefit from and why for your business. All right, folks, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the second episode of EMS Ding Dong. My name is Lee, and today we're going to be talking all about productivity apps for event professionals. And we have a panel with us, and I would love to introduce each and every one of you. So, first of all, Jeremy, can we start with you? Could you just say hello to everybody and let us know a little bit about yourself in 60 seconds or less?
It'll probably be less. Good morning, everyone. Afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. I've been working in events since 2006. I had a phone call. Can you help connect a box office in a field in Norfolk on a Friday afternoon? We did it, and that was June 2006. And since then, it's been kind of a whirlwind. So basically, if an event needs anything internet, I make it happen. And that could be in the middle of the desert, or it could be in a conference center, or it could be Grant Park in Chicago for Lollapalooza. So anything from 10 to 100,000 people getting online, you need to do that, I'll make it happen.
That's so cool. Katie, can you let us know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Evening, my side. So I'm based in Singapore. Have worked as conference and trade show sort of marketing probably for the last 7 or 8 years. Working both Europe, America, and obviously APAC as well. So very much been the sort of person that bugs someone like Jeremy to be able to provide things that we need and answer everyone's demand for internet. So yeah, lots of verticals worked across, mainly B2B events, and had all the headaches that go with it. So yeah.
Sounds like fun. Young Tim, your turn.
I'll do a shorter intro than in episode 1, but Tim Davis. I am a founder and director, along with Lee, who's also sat here, of Event Engine. Event Engine was born out of a design agency that is still runs today and has a lot of clients in the events space. And about a decade ago, we saw the need for a platform like Event Engine, which is a CMS, a web builder specifically for conferences and events. And we're on version 6 of the product, which is now incredibly ultra integratable.
Which is your non-biased opinion. I love how you do that. Now then, my name is Lee Jackson. Obviously, I also work with Tim. Also an event organizer myself. I've got a brand within the design agency space where we put on live events for design agencies. We also run a podcast, and we also produce a YouTube channel as well for that audience. So we get involved in both sides, both supplying Event Engine and also organizing all of our own events as well. And Tim is often joining us with all of that as well because he's crazy organized. That was the first lie. Right, okay, so we're going to jump into some questions. We're going to work our way around the panel. And the very first one is always good to start with some pain points or some problems. So, Jeremy, if we can start with you, and then we'll work our way around the room. The question is, what are, or is, depending, your biggest productivity pain point, either as an individual or as a team?
I mean, there are so many in events, but I think anyone who works in events, everything we do is a small team brought together for that particular show. Mm-hmm. And one of the toughest things is getting everyone on a call. And those being the most important. And even here, I'm based in California and obviously working primarily on continental US. Mm-hmm. So we've got 3-4 time zones here. And getting everyone on a call together just to share information, share status, that's tough. Mm. And then keeping all of that updated in the event space that we see here, there's still a lot of use of tools like Dropbox and whatever email you're on,
Mhm.
but there isn't project management tools like Rike, Teamwork, Basecamp have been used, but there's nothing ubiquitous. So everyone's working on different systems. That's one of the tough things. And as much as possible during an event, try and consolidate that into a few platforms, but that's not easy. And communication, timely communication, often when you're under a deadline, because we're always under a deadline, can be a challenge.
No,
it's the people friction part.
So people is your problem. No, I'm messing with you, man. It's mainly the time zones which does. So let's mix it up. Tim, let's go with you next. Productivity pain point, either as an individual or as a team, and be careful because I am part of your team, so don't be rude.
Yeah, and well, it's you, Lee, is the pain point, but I don't know what tech can fix that. We
rude.
We've used several project management systems in our short history. You mentioned Basecamp, Jeremy. We've used that for a long time, and it's a fantastic system. But is it the right one? I've used things like Wunderlist. I would say the biggest pain point for a while has been actually having too many systems that I've made myself accountable to. So in times of overwhelm, when it's busy, what system am I actually working with? What's the most appropriate one? And and obviously then I get to points where I think I need to pick one that's going to be the best one. I'll often find myself reverting just back to a simple spreadsheet in Google Sheets. So I would say an overwhelm of systems is my biggest pain point.
Katie, over in Singapore, biggest productivity pain points?
You joked when you said people, but I think people is my biggest productivity pain point. Not at all to suggest that I don't work with productive people, but everyone has different sort of priorities, different levels of urgency on different jobs. Yeah. And often it is that feeling of, okay, well, I've done my bit, I've passed it off, and I can't do anything else until you do your next part or whatever. And I think being able to, especially if you do have disparate teams, as Jeremy was saying, being able to share that work, communicate urgency, keep up to date without feeling like you're just bugging someone, but keep that check on sort of where projects are going. I think that the amount of passing over between teams that often sometimes one job requires in events, that can be something where you think someone will get something back to you in 2 days' time, and actually they didn't quite realise, they didn't know what else it's going to require to do the job from their side, the time involved, whatever it might be, and suddenly you're 10 days later and then every other timeline gets knocked on. So sort of people, but just in terms of so many different teams that need to perhaps add their bit to a job.
No, that's good. I think then I would probably be one of those people because sometimes I have too many things on my to-do list. And my biggest pain point is working out what's important, when I should be doing it, when I should be doing it, and what I should also be handing off to other people who can do things better or more efficiently and quickly than myself. Hence, trying to work, we often in the past working out what system do we use and how do we assign all that. I'll share some tips on that later on. The other thing, though, that just came across my mind when Jeremy mentioned events in general was just, I remember just a few weeks ago on our last live event, was actually just, if anyone's got a fix who's watching, for getting the presentations from your speakers at least 2 weeks before the event, that would be wonderful, because I was loading presentations on the day, freaking out, trying to make sure that they actually worked. So that was just another pain point that really frustrated me, and will bring back nightmares forever, especially for one guy who had loaded his presentation from another system, and it was converted to a PowerPoint, and when he pressed next, instead of the transition being 1 second, it was actually a 1 minute timed transition. So his text was just like this. It was awful. Anyway, right. So next question, folks. we're now talking about productivity tools. We've shared the pain that we've had, and I'm sure people watching can feel that. But it would be fantastic if we could all go around the room. Again, let's start with Jeremy. I don't know why I keep picking on him. He's first on my screen here. So if we can pick on Jeremy, we're going to work our way around now, and let's share 2 or 3 tools each that have helped us with those pain points, or that we believe are fantastic tools. It could be anything. It could be software. It could be on a phone, etc. But starting with Jeremy, productivity tools are your favorite and why? And you're on mute, mate.
I'm a big fan of Trello. It is it's a tool really designed originally for software teams. Software teams often use Agile and Scrum, and events people, whether they know it or not, are Agile and Scrum practitioners. They just are. It's the methodology that everyone has to use because we have to do things quickly and by a certain time frame. But Trello allows me to keep track of all the various threads. It's the thing of making a very long task list, basically, putting it online, and to have a system of cards, and you just move those cards through the various stages to completion. And it's very easy to share with people. Anyone can look at it and just see straight away, okay, yeah, has the connection been ordered? Is the Wi-Fi network designed? All those things that play a part can be put into these cards and just moved. We'll start with a sport analogy, move through the chains just to keep things on track. After that, email.
What?
And it's still, everyone was like, oh yeah, well, we've had email since the beginning of the internet, but it's still being improved. I haven't used Superhuman yet, but I'm keen to give that a shot. But Gmail has been my savior more often than I would care to admit.
Yeah.
Just it remembers things that I can't.
This is true. On Trello, then, are you talking about the free version, or do you guys use the premium?
You can do nearly everything you need to do with the free version. It's only when you start talking about larger private teams and you're integrated with other platforms. But last show where we were working with a big carrier, we used Trello as change control. If someone wanted to make a change to the network to improve coverage in a certain area, we'd go on a Trello card. Yeah. People would talk about it as in process, completed, done, checked. And, and everyone was able to see that happening. We integrated it with live chat. We used, because of the carrier, they're a Microsoft house, so we use Microsoft Teams chat. And any time a card changed its status, everyone got a notification.
That's
so
fantastic.
Everyone in this distributed team was able to see exactly what was happening in real time.
Yeah.
And in the lead up to the event, the planning was much improved. So yeah, any good project management tool should be able to do that. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Trello.
Trello is good, folks. If you check the show notes of this episode, there will be links to all of these tools. But if you check out Trello.com for that, there's an amazing free platform, and you can visualize all of your tasks and move them along that process. So it's really nice, almost like the good old Post-it note method that we probably all used back in the day, if we're all old enough. Clearly, we're all too young to remember that. And also good old email. So that's Jeremy. Katie, can we go with you? And I'd love to know your productivity tools.
Good. I was almost fearing being last each time.
No, I'm trying to mix it up.
So yes, I would agree. I've used Trello. I personally really liked it. Like that I could do the check boxes, like that I could assign things to different people. Weirdly enough, I didn't really feel the people I was working with took to it. So I think my number one tool is sometimes a bit of guesswork, bit of trial and error, and it's whatever your team most take to, because I can be more adaptable maybe to using different systems. It's whatever the team take to and just seem to kind of adopt is the best one to choose in my eyes. I think otherwise I would support more maybe a modern version of just pure email. One that we've taken to using soon is recently is Slack. Nice. I hadn't used it before, but just simple, nice, instant message. You can have different sort of threads or channels, as they call them, so that you can group things together thematically with different people accessing different channels. So again, you only need to be involved in the information that's relevant to you. Nice ability to share Google, if you are on the G Suite, nice ability to share your different Google slides or sheets or anything, and change the permissions within Slack. From what I've seen so far, I'd say fairly new to it. Looks like they're fairly up with their integrations. We've simply just started using HubSpot, and that integrates with Slack, so I can get my notifications through to there as well. So at the moment, that seems like quite a positive one. And it just saves some of those mass email chains, which you think you've written one sentence. I didn't need a whole nother part to this chain. It can just be short and snappy.
Or you didn't even need to be copied in. That's our
Or you think, that was nothing to do with me.
I was
So I think that as a compliment to emails where sometimes you do need that more lengthy explanation. Slack, I'm quite liking at the moment, so I'd encourage people to give that one a go.
I definitely highly recommend Slack. Folks, if you check out slack.com, and again, remember, in the show notes, you'll be able to see all of these. We use Slack as well, Katie, and for us, it allows us to have those threaded conversations as well, so we can keep things within the thread. I personally love the Slack bot, which allows me I'll see a message, but I can't do anything about it then. But with the Slack bot, I can say, hey, remind me about this message tomorrow morning, will you? And then the Slack bot will notify me in the morning that I'm meant to reply to someone. And it's massively reduced our email. I wouldn't know of a percentage unless I went and had a look at that. But for us, getting rid of as many emails as we can. I do love email. Don't get upset, Jeremy. It is great. But Slack is phenomenal for just those quick conversations. And if you can use the free one if you're watching. Free one's amazing. However, I think they limit to 10,000 messages before you can go back in your search. So at that point, you have to start to pay for it if you want to use the search tools, etc. So it can get a little expensive, but for small teams, especially if you're doing one Slack per, say, event, etc., it can be very useful for that as well. Good call there. Yes,
just one aside. As you said, Slack can get expensive. Last company I worked at was a proper job. We had Teamwork, which is a product platform out of Ireland, and it's mainly project management, so it's mainly up against Rike and Basecamp, but they include Teamwork Chat, which is a Slack clone, and their cost is incredibly low for what they deliver. So that's another one worth checking out, and it's teamwork.com.
That's good. Teamwork.com, backed by a very big company. Teamwork usually got a whole suite of products, haven't they, as well, beyond just that. So they've got their project management, which does Gantt charts. My favorite thing in the entire planet is Gantt charts. So Teamwork got you covered there. And they've got Teamwork Desk as well from memory, which is a good help desk system, which is phenomenal. All right, well, Tim, you can be last. I'm going to go next because I said I'm going to mix this up. So for me, I absolutely adore Airtable. If anyone's never seen it or checked it out, have a look at airtable.com. Again, a link in the show notes. So for us, it's essentially spreadsheets but on steroids, and we've been able to use Airtable to create database-driven applications, which integrate with my second recommended tool, which is Zapier or Zapier, depending on how you pronounce it. I have no idea to this day, but I'm going to say Zapier. So with Airtable, there's two core elements that we'll use. We use it to manage data so we can access things quickly. But also we use it to actually manage the events themselves. So we can create all of our own tasks, and we can create our automation with Zapier. So when we receive ticket sales from our website, that will push through Zapier into Airtable. So we'll have the ticket information and all the information about the attendee, and also what workshops they're going to be attending and all of that good stuff. And we can also then automatically push that out again through Zapier from Airtable into our accounts package, so that will then see if the customer exists. If it doesn't, it will create the customer, it will then create the invoice, it will then create the payment against the invoice, and it will then reconcile it in the bank. So it's all this entire automated flow. So for us, Zapier is phenomenal. It's got those views. Sorry, not Zapier. Airtable's phenomenal. It's got those views similar to Trello as well, so you can create multiple views like calendar views or the card views that Trello have, which allows you to also do subtasks and create cards and move them along. So a very, very good application that's allowed us to almost design our own project management systems for the different ways that we need to use it. So that's me, a combination of Airtable and Zapier. Tim, how about you?
Okay, so I've used a whole bunch of these. Trello, I love it, and Basecamp we've mentioned. I'm with Jeremy, email all the way, Gmail in particular. In fact, anything G Suite I I just love G Suite. One of the things I do as an aside is copywriting for those who hunt me down to get my copy. I don't promote that in any way, but I still get a buzz today when I share a document with a client and they can see changes in real time. So we'll be on a chat, and they'll a lot of the time don't use G Suite, and they'll make a suggestion for a copy change, and as they're talking, they'll see the writing change, and it's 2019, but they'll still gasp, and that still gives me a little kick.
If they're over 30, they all gasp.
If they're over 30, which yeah. So I love G Suite, and Gmail is just insane. I think there's no need to file anymore, and you could. The search is absolutely you can find if since starting the company, if I've sent an email or received an email, I can find that email with just a few search terms in real time, in just literally a few seconds. It's faster to find something than actually filing something. And of course, one other thing with Google Docs is that the old days of losing a document because there was a power cut or something's gone wrong. There is no save button. It's like why do you don't do that in life, do you? Like suddenly you halfway through peeling potatoes and you drop your potato peeler. Oh, I forgot to hit save, so I got to peel all the potatoes again. Gmail is this, or G Suite is like life doesn't work that way. So forget having to hit save. You've written it; it exists. It's in the world. It's in the cloud. So yeah. Well,
Tim really does love it because you've got so many documents, haven't we, as well, that you have to manage all of our meetings. They're all going in documents, etc. And then we do a lot of our financial projections, etc., in Google Sheets, which is really cool. That we used to pay years ago. We were paying for all these licenses, weren't we, for Microsoft Office? But now it's just all in the cloud. We've actually got, as a business, we've got the level up. So it's not the basic one; it's the next step up, which I think gives us about it's a petabyte or something ridiculous. It's almost like unlimited space as well. So for us, we've used it as a business in Event Engine to make sure that we've also got doing our disaster recovery, business continuity, making sure that we've got a whole lot of stuff in the drive there as well. Good call there, Tim. I like it.
Another one would be a calendar, Google Calendar. Everything in my life exists on Google Calendar. I've got several calendars set up. There's one just for me, which no one else gets to touch, a bit like my toothbrush. Then there's one for my wife and myself. And again, no one gets to my wife and myself. And then there's one for the business. And they've all got different colors and they integrate with my emails. So, brilliant. And my life is organized thanks to wonderful people at Google. WhatsApp, nobody's mentioned WhatsApp yet, but I don't know how life would exist without WhatsApp. I depend on WhatsApp in so many ways. But going back here now to the original point of application overwhelm, which one do I need to pay attention to? I'm actually paying attention to lots of them. Now, another one I'm just going to throw in is something called Help Scout. We're in the service industry. This may be applicable or may not be applicable to organizers. Certainly will be applicable to people supplying to organizers who need to have some sort of help desk. But certainly for organizers who want a central repository for people to access key information that can get updated as and when questions roll in, because who wants to sit there and tap out the same answer or copy and paste the same answer over and over again? We've used lots of different support systems in the past. I think we started out using Zoho, which was great, and no complaints about it. But we recently, about a year ago, did some research just to look at what's the best one out there that we can find, and we came across Help Scout. That, a bit like Google Docs, allows collaboration on documents. So our internal process now will be for a ticket that comes in. Someone's done something. They've stuffed something up on one of their websites. They don't know what they've done wrong. They just know they've done something wrong. They'll submit a ticket. If a help guide does not exist regarding what they've done wrong with that ticket, then we'll write a help guide in response to that ticket, and then the ticket becomes a reference to that document, and that document then is therefore now available for anyone else who makes that same mistake again. Hopefully to not make that mistake again. And so our library of support documentation is just increasing all the time. And the theory is we'll never need to respond to the same ticket twice, because people can just search for it themselves. And one other really cool thing that Help Scout does is sometimes if a client panics and decides, oh, I'm not going to write to the support desk, I'm going to write to Tim because he's just such a nice guy and he'll help me out. And they'll send it to Tim.
Sorry, who said that?
My mother. So,
okay.
So they'll send it to Tim. Tim will take a look at the ticket and think, what the heck have they done? I need to put this to the support desk. If I simply forward that email to the support desk, Help Scout identifies me as an internal member. It'll open up a ticket in the name of the client, and it will put my part of the email in as internal notes in the system. It is the most efficient help ticketing system, support desk that I've come across. So hooray for everyone over there at Help Scout. I think they're based in Boston, if I'm right.
A good place to be. They've also got a great API, which is awesome for us. Obviously, me and Tim work together, so we implemented this ourselves. And there's some fantastic automation, so we can do auto assign, etc. And we can also trigger tasks into third-party systems. So we've actually used Zapier and Airtable to allow us to track things with different teams and send stuff out to external teams who are working on particular software changes as well. So that's been phenomenal for us. Again, all the links will be in the show notes, so be sure to check below. All right, so we are now coming into land, and what we would love to do is to wrap up this call or this session by sharing each of us a productivity tip or a motivational tip, whatever that need be, that event professionals around the world could use. So we start with Katie to put you on the spot, and then you're not last. And is there a motivational or a productivity tip that you can share with us?
I think my productivity hack, bias now that I'm slightly on the other side, as a bit more sort of agency service offering with the marketing technology that helps event professionals. I think my productivity hack would be learn how to identify what brings more value by doing it yourself in-house, and what brings more value, or at least you don't lose any value, if you outsource it. I think I've seen and done probably lots of both the wrong way around. There are things which I felt determined to do in-house, and actually if I'd just given them to somebody else to do, it would have been much more productive and just as good quality. And then deciding some things which really are valuable to do in-house because you have control. I would vote Event Engine on that one. Certainly as an event organizer, you have to be updating your website constantly. I wanted that to be at the tip of our fingertips. But there were other things which I'm sure at times my marketing team were absolutely bogged down with. And if I just had the foresight, I think, to go, I don't need to have as much control over that right here around our desk. I can outsource that to these people who probably also know more than me about said and again, they've got a whole nother then suite of people. I probably have achieved more in a given time and in a given budget, actually. And I think, yes, that would be my productivity hack. Take that time before you start any sort of new project or whatever it might be to stop and go, where's the value in doing things in-house versus outsourcing? And it's a fine line, I think. But if you can strike that balance or learn it as you go along from event to event, you can, really double your day if you give the right things to the right people.
That's awesome. Brilliant. Tim, productivity hack, tip, or motivation?
Go on an Airtable course. That's it.
Oh, Jeremy.
Mine would be familiarize yourself with Scrum and Agile. You already do it. You don't know it yet if you haven't heard of it before. All you need to do is read a few articles. You don't need to be a Scrum master or read endless books. Just look at a few articles. It's very, very simple. And it works both before the show, before everyone arrives, when you've got all your different vendors. You just need one person from each vendor on what is a Scrum call. You don't have to do them every day. But Scrum basically means that everyone updates each other very quickly on what they did yesterday, what they're working on today, what their goals are, and if there's anything blocking what they're doing. Even just heads of department. One particular event comes to mind where I saw it working exceptionally well, and that's Freeze Art Fair in New York. They built the biggest tent in North America for Freeze Art Fair. It is huge. There are a lot of different vendors on site, and one of the best things that Production Glue did, shout out to Production Glue, is have a daily meeting with all the heads of department who were involved. Everyone went around the room and they said, what they were working on, if there were any blockers. And that was just a great way of making sure that all the different departments, when you don't always cross over, in IT, we touch everyone. In the network, everyone needs it. So we see everyone. But, if you're just working on building the tent, you might not know what the main production team are working on. So that methodology, Agile and Scrum, just have a little look online and you'll recognize it straight away. You'll see that you're doing most of it already, and work that into your process somehow.
Really good advice. Well, for me then, I'd love to carry on from what Katie was saying. And so I shared right at the very beginning how I struggle with what do I do with all of these tasks, and also working out who should be doing something as opposed to me. And one of the things I've been applying now for the last couple of years is the Eisenhower's important/urgent principle. So there's kind of 4 markers for your tasks, and I tend to plan my tasks at night for the following day, so I know exactly what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. And it's also great because it means at night I can then switch off. So end of the day, about 4 o'clock, I will go through and make my task list for tomorrow, and then I'll prioritize them. So I've got important and urgent. I've got important but not urgent. I've then got not important but urgent. We all have stuff like that as well. And we've also got not important and not urgent, which are probably the things you shouldn't even be doing anyway, because that's procrastination. So I tend to go P1, P2, P3, and P4. So that's my priorities. So all of my P1 and P2, my priority 1s are stuff that I just have to do ASAP. My priority 2s are things that I still need to do. They're important, but they're not as urgent, so it means I can schedule them. So that means I can maybe push that P2 task on a couple of days ahead, so I don't have to worry about that yet, and I can focus on the P1. And my P3 tasks are probably things that I can potentially outsource. So that's really looking at what Katie was saying, what can someone else within my company do as opposed to me, or what could a supplier do with this P3 task? Because it is important that it gets done, but it's maybe not something I can do as efficiently. So can I hand that out? And then obviously P4 tasks tend to be just things that stay on the list forever until I finally get around to them, because they're maybe not important, or I probably shouldn't be doing them. The other thing as well I would wrap up with is, if anyone ever struggles with focus, and I definitely do, I tend to do the Pomodoro technique. So that's 20 minutes of focusing on one of these tasks. And then I'll take a 5-minute break where I actually walk away from the computer screen. And there's loads of timers you can use, or you can use a stop clock on your phone just to time a 20-minute focus sprint, and then take a 5-minute break and then come back to something else as well. All right, so folks, you have been watching EMS Ding Dong. We have covered a whole range of tools to help you with your productivity, and our panelists have been super honest and open and shared their pain points with you, some tools, and some amazing motivational tips. So, Tim, if we can start with you, how can people connect with you?
You can connect with me either on email, tim@eventengine.tv, or look on LinkedIn, Tim Davis, Davies, the Welsh way, like Jeremy.
No worries. Katie, how can people connect with you?
So I'll start LinkedIn, Katie Draper, IE, given that Tim spelled his, so Katie with an IE, or email again works great, so Katie@myriad, like a myriad of things, myriadx.com.
Brilliant. Jeremy?
I'm old enough that I have most of my internet handles are my surname. So @Rollinson on Twitter, ROLLINSON, and same on LinkedIn, Jeremy Rollinson. Those are the 2 quickest places to get a hold of me, and it's jeremy@rollinson.co.
Awesome. And then me on LinkedIn, Lee Jackson Dev, or you can email me, lee@eventengine.tv. Folks, you have been watching EMS Ding Dong. Thank you so much for your time, and we will see you in the next episode.